Have you ever wondered who's behind the leading edge sign? In this series of interviews with leading edge real estate agents, we'll uncover exactly who is behind the sign, what makes them so unique, and how they're staying on top of their real estate game while living their best life. Welcome to Behind the Sign. I'm Christine George, and today I'm really excited to have with me Kim Izzi. Kim is an agent in our Melrose office. She's a longtime resident in Melrose. She raised all three of her children and is incredibly connected and loved in the local community of Melrose.
She is. Christine. I hope so.
In fact, she is actually the go-to person for all things Melrose, from shopping, dining, and resourcing contractors for her clients. She's high energy, super stylish, adventurous, and has a great sense of humor and is a supernatural on camera. So check out some of her home tours. But what I really love about Kim is to think about and read what some of her clients have said. So I'm just going to read a couple of really great things about Kim right now. Lisa says, Kim is amazing. She's honestly the reason why we got our dream house. She has great market knowledge, knows everyone, and was the advantage we needed in a tough and competitive market. Beyond her professional qualifications, she's also just a ton of fun to tour houses with. Don't you love that?
I loved that little family. And I tell my clients, we spend a lot of time together on the weekends. I have to like the people I'm working with. Otherwise, your weekends are a drag. So
Totally.
They were a really sweet family.
Oh, that is awesome. All right. Now, Sarah says, Kim's knowledge of Melrose and the local market is unmatched. Her expertise and patience guided us for 2 years in our specific search for a bigger home on the east side of town. When we finally found it, she helped us craft and negotiate a winning offer. No simple task in this competitive market. In selling, Kim provided us with great advice and wonderful resources, including contractors and a top-notch stager. The quick sale of our house at well over asking price was a testament to her services as well.
Years. I dragged those people around for years before they find the right one. That was it was a long process.
Talk about
for them.
patience. You know, go ahead.
They had a house in Melrose that was lovely and they liked their neighbors. So they didn't quite have the same urgency that other buyers in the market have, where they're facing a lease that expires or you're relocating. They already lived here and they knew how awesome Melrose was and they didn't want to leave.
So they were willing to wait to find their perfect house. So that word, patience, when I looked through all of your testimonials, that word came up over and over and over again. So before we get in, I have some great questions. I want everybody to learn about you. But before we get into that, can you just talk a little bit about patience and what that means to you and a client and how you do it?
I guess I don't think of myself as a patient person. You know, I know that you enjoy a nice, deep, long yoga class. And to me, I'm like, is this over yet? Can we do something else? I'd like to get to the next whatever task I have planned. So I'm not sure that it's so much patience as understanding. And, you know, I say to my clients pretty often, you'll buy something. It might not be this, but eventually you'll buy something.
Yeah.
And I'm really more careful, I think, than some agents might be about, you know, when they're looking at what you think is a great house for them, you have to let it be their decision and just be, I guess, yes, patient and let them come to that on their own.
How do you do that? Like, how do you actually, especially with this couple, say, you were working with for 2 years, like after a while, like, how do you not roll your eyes and just be like, buy something already?
No, that's what you do when you leave their company. When you're finished with the showing and you're like, that is the perfect one. I think I'm always afraid that if they don't make the decision and you nudge them too hard or force them in that direction and they regret it, we're going to see each other at Whole Foods. We're going to bump into each other at Starbucks. And if they don't love their house, they're not going to love seeing me.
Yeah.
So, I let them know the advantages and the reasons that I think that might be a good fit for them and versus the other things that they may have turned down. But especially where I do often work close to home, I'm going to see those people again, a PTO meeting, a library meeting, anything. And you want to make friends.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you want a referral, yeah. I mean, what good is it if somebody's not happy? Ultimately, you want to make your clients happy.
Yeah.
So that's great. So, all right, Kim, let's go back and just can you talk a little bit about why you chose real estate? Because this isn't your lifelong career.
No. In my previous life, I was a dietitian. Exercise and health and wellness were always a big part of my life. And I worked at Winchester Hospital for a number of years before I kind of settled into full-time motherhood and was fortunate to be home most of the time. When I was home, I was the PTO president, the room mother, the brownie troop coordinator, the liaison for every coach and baseball team the kids were ever on. So I call those things job security. The house was spotless. The kids' birthday parties were planned to a T, and I really did enjoy it. But my brother, who works for Douglas Elliman in New York City, had been whispering in my ear for years when the kids were younger that he thought this would be something that I would really enjoy and be really good at. And he and his partner have seen great success. The New York market was pretty fantastic. And also my husband is a real estate attorney. So I felt like I was kind of surrounded by it.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely had, I think, a better understanding of the nitty gritty part of it that some new agents don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And they think it's all open houses and sell lovely, beautiful condos. Not all the time.
Yeah.
So I did wait until the kids were at an age that I felt like, they could manage on their own after school, things like that. I knew that this was not just a weekend flexible career path and that it was going to be very demanding. So when the kids, our youngest, entered middle school, I think, I said it out loud to a friend and then it just snowballed. I had been thinking about it and processing it probably for years, how I was going to make that leap. And about a year later.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've had just really, really great success. I think all those years of PTO, library, coach, brownie, you were like prospecting without even knowing you were prospecting. You built this infrastructure of a network that was so deep that I gotta believe that springboarded you when you came into the business.
In some way it did. And then I also have to look back and recognize those people knew that I was new at this. So they didn't necessarily recommend me. It was, people who had heard of me or knew me through town that a year or two later came to realize, oh, this is what she does now. And maybe knew me from before as someone who was very well organized and could get things done. And now I hope that, those people now trust me and know that I'm good at what I do. So, but you're right. I probably was building all that infrastructure and not even realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because so much of it is, we're in the relationship business and you had these deep relationships with people where they knew you were organized. They knew they could count on you on get things done. They knew they liked you. They knew they trusted you. And so it was a natural thing to lean on you for their real estate needs. So I love that. Yeah. So now you've been in the business for what, 6 years? Is it 6 years?
Coming in 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you in the business?
Very early on, I think I was in the business for 4, maybe 6 months. I was one of the only agents here in the Melrose office just after a company meeting that I attended and didn't stick around to chat with anyone. I really didn't know a lot of people at the time and kind of just made my way back into the Melrose office to, get work done. I don't even know what I was working on. I didn't have any clients at the time. And a gentleman walked in who was pretty disheveled, no one really recognized him. And he just walked into the office and said, yeah, my sister says that we have to sell our house. And I happen to be here. He turned into millions of dollars worth of real estate.
No.
Yes, they sold, he and his sister owned a parcel of land in the country club neighborhood that was buildable. I was fortunate to sell that land to a builder who then worked with me after the construction was finished, and we sold new construction, as well as the family's house next door, which was just a gigantic farmhouse that the builder completely renovated. And that was kind of like, I just launched into the Melrose market, and
Wow.
he walked in off of the street. So that was kind of crazy.
That is very crazy. That just goes to show, like, never, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Like, isn't that interesting? And he didn't have another agent.
No, the family really didn't have any other connections to a real estate agent. And I was able to answer some questions for him with the help of Lou and Bob regarding whether or not that land was buildable. So that worked out well. And he certainly needed a lot of hand holding. You know, he had lived in that house his whole life. The family had been there generations upon generations of hoarders. And he was someone that took up a lot of time. And had he maybe bumped into another agent who had a business already built, I don't know that anyone else would have had the time that he required or the hand holding that, because I also had to find him a small condo to live in. And it was very time consuming, but I had nothing but time.
Yeah.
So it was perfect for me.
Oh, that is awesome. I love that story. So we've already talked about your patience, or your, you know, maybe your ability to understand your clients and let them lead you. We've talked about, you know, not judging a book by its cover. Those are a couple of things that I think make you stand out. But what would you say your unique value proposition is, or what makes you stand out in the market against other agents?
I mean, I think a lot of agents have the same real estate vision that I have. And it's not, you know, I love houses, I love design. I guess you're kind of forced into that. You have to be on top of what the trends are and things. But I have learned very quickly that it takes very little time and money to refresh properties. And it's kind of the small things that really make a huge impact, especially when you're the listing agent and you can present a product that just looks a little more polished. And I think that some agents might overlook that, you know, that light fixture, no one's going to notice it. I think that replacing that light fixture with a $40 fixture is going to be an improvement, and it's worth it. I think the most interesting transaction I had this year, they were clients who contacted me. They lived in the Golden Hills in Saugus, which is maybe a campier type of area. There are some single families that have, you know, cottages that were torn down now that are large. Anyway, they bought this house back about 15 years ago. They were just out of college. They were 22 years old. They spent $140,000 on this camp. And they now had 3 boys and had completely outgrown this camp. And they wanted to put it on the market. Well, they contacted a local agent in Melrose, not Leading Edge, and she was not very interested. She didn't really think that they could clean it up and didn't really want to be involved, and maybe the house wasn't going to sell for enough money for her. So that left a bad taste in their mouth. They were insulted that, you know, she didn't want to take the time to market their property. So I went over to take a look at it, and it was very tiny, 700 square feet.
Wow.
And there's 5 people living in this house.
Oh my God.
The inside has literally spilled over into their backyard. And I told them my advice was to move out. You were never going to get an offer accepted on a larger home with this home sale contingency in this market anyway. So take the boys, rent something temporarily while you prepare this for the market, and then we'll worry about the purchase of something larger for you. and they took all of my advice. They
Did they
worked with
really?
my painter. They worked with my stager. We shined up this little cottage. They got 11 offers. They sold it for $60,000 more than the market really demanded. And it wasn't the biggest transaction of the year. I think the final sales price was 420 or 410. But this, just being able to walk these young kids that had made this really good investment, and to show them it was a coat of paint and a deep, thorough cleaning, and then some nice staging. They got more money for that house than I can even explain on paper. It was fantastic. And they purchased with me in Essex a 4-bedroom colonial with a 2-car garage, a master bathroom. Like, just such a life-changing move for them.
Yeah.
And throughout the course of that transaction, they would both ask my advice, and the husband referred to me as his godmother at one point. He's like, "Where have you come from? Why did another agent not even want to help us sell this house? And here we are." And, I gave them the honest advice that they needed, and told them that they really should move out. And it was hard, but I think now they would say it was worth it.
Oh my God. That just goes to show that you just like how genuinely you care about the people that you're serving. Like, to me, that just, like, it's not about the money. It's not about the deal.
Yeah.
It's about the people that you're serving.
Yeah. And that one more so than any, like, we're selling a condo in Melrose for over $1 million. I have new construction coming on the market. That's great. I'm happy to be in that position. But this little family that took this chance when they were 20 something years old and bought this house, and now have moved their 3 boys into this beautiful community in Essex.
Yeah.
That was a meaningful transaction this year.
Yeah, sure. And it's a milestone for them, like a big change in their lifestyle, big change for their family growth.
Yeah.
And you got to be part of that.
Yeah.
It's highly personal, and you got to be part of that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in this business?
The biggest lesson, I think the lessons that come early on, not being transactional, but being, a source and a sounding board, the patience and the vision that you have to help your buyers create, especially, instead of focusing on how many number of sales, what's your average sales price, those things are in the back of your mind, I'm sure, but it's just nice when you can not focus on that anymore and really build the relationships and the trust with your clients.
And do you feel like that, I don't know, I guess I always kind of just feel like, don't worry about the end result. Just be present in the journey with your clients and build the kind of relationships that you would want somebody to build with you, and the business will come.
Sure.
Yeah.
And maybe it's easy to say that when the business is coming. I'm sure when I was newer, I was looking around like, how I need some clients. What do you do? But when it comes naturally and the business starts to build and people start to refer you, and you can look up at the end of the year and you're like, wow, that was a lot. We really did a lot this year.
Yeah.
It's much more fulfilling than constantly, checking the books and where am I in my year? I can't live like that.
Yeah. Chasing numbers. It's no fun.
No.
So what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Personally or professionally?
Advice. Oh, that's a tricky one. Probably be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone else is already taken. Isn't that the saying?
True.
All right. What's next for Kim Izzi?
I don't know, Christine. I like having kind of a niche and a certain market that you become really comfortable in and an expert in, if you will. And I see the value in being able to navigate other markets. Of course, I can't live in this little bubble, but I really like this bubble. This bubble's great.
The good one.
So yeah, I feel like, more of this in a more organic way, that just you do what you're asked to do, and you help when you can, and the rest will come, I hope.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, before we go, I have 6 rapid fire questions for you.
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
Your favorite movie?
When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, that is a good one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Me too. All the way. To my detriment. Guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. It's probably chocolate. And why am I sneaking it? Why am I keeping it in the refrigerator drawer where the vegetables are so the kids can't find it?
Yeah, because they wouldn't look there.
I am right now.
Are you really?
Yes, I bought it yesterday. Put it right next to the asparagus. I don't know why.
So I'm even worse. I love chocolate peanut butter ice cream. My son has a peanut allergy, so I keep it in the freezer, and I know nobody's taking it.
No.
It's all mine because my husband doesn't like it.
Smart. That's smart.
What's your favorite podcast these days?
What was I listening to? I like The Moth. I think I like The Moth because it's always something different.
Yes.
I stick to The Moth.
That is a good one. Who would you most like to meet, dead or alive?
Dead or alive? Maybe Jackie Kennedy.
Oh, wouldn't she be cool?
Yeah.
She really would. I often
cool.
when I think about her and what she went through at the age of 33.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How strong she was and put together and just polished.
Mm-hmm. An interesting time.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
Socially and.
Yes. All right. What are you most grateful for?
Oh, that would be my healthy family.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I think as I get older, my mother used to say, "Oh, I'm grateful for my health and my family," and I'd be like, "Oh, she's so boring." And now I'm doing the same thing. The same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
We all turn into our mothers. It just happens.
It really does.
I'm grateful for their health too. Both my parents
they're still
80
living
and 83, and they're really healthy.
And are they in Melrose?
Yes.
Wow, you guys are like right close together. That's great.
We are about 5 houses away from them, and I tell my Melrose buyers often, they are the reason. My mother and father are the reason that there's no inventory for you.
Yeah, because they're not going.
It's their
anywhere.
fault. They're not going anywhere.
Well, where are they going to go?
No.
My
basement, Christine.
No, and that's not happening.
No.
Oh my God. So Kim, what's the best way for people to find you?
I think my website is looking pretty spiffy right now, thanks to Becca. So all my contact info is up on there. I futz around on Instagram and Facebook. I try to be consistent, and it kind of, ebbs and flows with me, but either one of those platforms too, I usually.
And your website, I believe, is kimizzi.com, correct?
Kimizzi.com.
All right. We'll put that in the show notes. And for those of you who are watching and listening, Kim really does an awesome job on Instagram and Facebook. And you have like a great mix of personal stuff, listing stuff, buyer, seller, real estate stuff. You've got videos in there. And so it's just fun to watch. So
it's a good mix.
It is. It's a great mix. So make sure you're following Kim. Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Yeah.
This
wasn't painful at all.
I know. It's just like two people chatting.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for watching. And if you are watching, leave us a comment and let us know you are here. Check us out on YouTube and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get notified the next time we have a new episode that is published. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you'd like, comment, and share it. Check us out at leadingedgeagents.com and like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.